So, first of all, I would like to say good evening to attendants from USA and also good morning to attendants from India. Today, I would like to present my lecture on the topic of Paticcha Sammuppada or dependent originations, which is a complicated Buddha teachings. Here is my agenda, starting with what is Paticcha Sammuppada and its relationship with suffering and samsara. Then 12-fold factor of Paticcha Sammuppada and their interdependencies. Operation of Paticcha Sammuppada, including the classical 3 lifetime models and the actual operation in samsara. And then I will end with how to terminate Paticcha Sammuppada. So let me start with a question. What is Paticcha Sammuppada? It is a fundamental concept of Buddhism. It is a philosophically complex concept which is difficult to understand, and it's subject to various explanation and interpretation. So today, my lecture is just one of the explanation and interpretation that I try to simplify to make you get a better understanding of Paticca Sammuppada. It covers intricate cause of suffering, which are interrelated change of events, both physical and mental. These lead being through continuous cycle of rebirth, aging, and death, so-called samsara. And these events happen in a series. That is to say, particular group of events produce other related events in a recurring manners or repetitive manners. Paticca Sammuppada fundamentally based on principles of causal relationship. In this case, all things arise independent upon another things. When there is a cause, and the effect due to that cause will arise or follow. And resulting effect become a cause of another effect. And this dependent origination continue sequentially like a domino lines. Therefore, if there is no cause or a cause is turned off, there will be no associated effect because it cause it turned off. So it follow principle of causal relationship. Let's see an example of Paticca Sammuppada in everyday life. There are clouds in the sky, so it rains. It having rain, then road becomes slippery. As road becomes slippery, a man falls down. The man having fallen down become injured. So in this case, a shower of rain depends on clouds in the sky. Road becoming slippery depends on the rain. And fall of the man depends on road becoming slippery. And at the end, injury of the man depends on his falls. If you reverse this consequence, it's become, if there were no cloud in the sky, it would not have rain then road would not have become slippery. Then the man would not have fallen. Then he would not have become injured. So this is the obvious example of Paticcha Sammuppada. There are 12 sequential factors of Paticcha Sammuppada, starting from the first one, ignorance or avijja. Second, karmic formation or sankhara. Third, consciousness or vijnana. Fourth, mind and matter, nama rupa. Fifth, six sensory modality or salayatana. Six, contact, phassa. Seven, feeling, vedana. Eight, craving, tanha. Nine, attachment, upadhan. 10, existence, bhava. 11, birth, chati. And then 12, aging and death, including sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Or chara, marana, soka, pariteva, tukha, tomanasa, upayasa. Actually, these 12 factors are not found in non-living objects, such as rocks or trees, but often found in living beings, such as humans. Consecutive pairing of these 12 factors result in 11 cause-effect relationship, which I will describe in detail later on. This is a summary of sequential factors of Paticcha Sammuppada, which operates in circular manners, from ignorance to aging and death. This cycle is repeated again and again in the samsara. And the suffering from this cycle is mainly due to aging and death. Then I will describe in detail each factor in Paticcha Sammuppada, starting from number one, ignorance or avijja. Avijja is not knowing or misunderstanding what true nature of realities, including four noble truths, three characteristics of existence or trilakkhana, five aggregate or pancha khantha, law of karma, noble eightfold path, and Paticcha Sammuppada. Ignorance implies both unawareness of truth and misconception of truth that distorts reality. So ignorance is primary cause of sufferings. If we eliminate this mistaken view, the misery of samsara will go away. However, it is easier to speak than to perform. Ignorance is accompanied by delusions, such as desire, aversions, or dislike or hate, and mental dullness. Let's see, for example, the first case is deluded person who had lost all sense of direction and think that east is west or north is south. So he lost the way back home. The second case is person who does not understand truth of sufferings. He has optimistic view of life. He made a living in comfortable way, although his life is full of pain and sorrow. The third case is person walked into a dark room, stepped on a coiled rope, and wrongly believed out of ignorance that the rope is a snake. So he had a great fear and frightened. He then jumped out of the room. Factor number 2 is karmic formations, sankhara, which dependent on ignorance. Sankhara is forming, signifying, and motivating karma. They create 29 karma or chetana that initiate by wholesome or unwholesome root cause, including 13 meritorious karmic formations, so-called punya pisankhara, which are kusala karma, leading to rebirth in human, deva, and rupa vajra brahma worlds. 12 demeritorious karmic formations, so-called punya pisankhara. These are akusala karma, which lead to rebirth in apaya bhum. 4 neutrals or imperturbable karmic formations, so-called anenja pisankhara, which are arupa kusala karma, leading to rebirth in arupa vajra brahma worlds. In particular, ignorance is a predominant root cause of all unwholesome karma. The third factor is consciousness of vinyan or vinyana. It is dependent on karmic formations. It is association of citta between previous and new life. And due to citta and karmic potential in previous life, stream of citta arise in new existence, beginning with Paticca citta, which link the past with the present. It is the first citta that we experience at moment of fertilization. That is to say, embryo in mother womb is formed by combination of this linking consciousness with parents, sperm, and ovum cells. By the way, when Paticca citta fall away, new citta arrives, so-called right continuums consciousness or bhavanka citta arrives. In fact, countless bhavanka citta arise at moment when there are no sense impression and are available throughout lifespan. Afterwards, other accumulated karma generate a variety of other vipaka citta, according to circumstances. The fourth factor is mind and matter, nama rupa, which is dependent on consciousness. As I have mentioned in my previous lecture, that life is coexistence of mind and matter. In this case, Paticca citta is a leader of this coexistence. In the case of human beings, nama rupa combination at birth composed of mind, citta, and cetasika. 1 Paticca citta and 33 kusala and akusala cetasika. And matters, material produced by karma, containing 3 rupa kalapa. These are set kalapa, body kalapa, and heart-based kalapa. In this case, It means physical base of citta. It's a matter of rupa, not nama or maya. Rupa Kalapa, as I have mentioned earlier, is invincible smallest unit of matters. It's composed of at least 8 materials. These are Patavi, Apo, Tesho, Vayo, Vanna, Kanta, Rasa, and Ocha. The fifth factor is six sensory modality or Salajatana, which is dependent on mind matters. During embryonic period, six sensory modality gradually evolve. All six sense organs, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, receive their respective sensory input or stimuli, and giving rise to six types of sanya or sensory perception. In this case, sanya interprets sensory stimuli to meaningful and understandable picture of the world. For example, I receive visible objects and transfer information to the brain to interpret what have been seen. And the result of this sanya is a lamp. Six sanya include eye base, chakku jatana, ear base, sota jatana, nose base, khana jatana, tongue base, chiuha jatana, body base, kaya jatana, mind base, mano jatana. All these sanya recognize description of all sensory experience. Factor number 6 is contact or paticcha, which is dependent on six sensory modalities. Paticcha is mental or sensory impression, which is different from sanya, which is sensory perception. It's the combination of citta with object received from sensory modality. In the case of paticcha, which arise from eyes, it is called eye contact. It results from coexistence of three components or three factors, namely visible object, eye, or chakku tawara, and eye consciousness, or chakku tawara vithi. Other kinds of contacts generated through ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind arise in dependence on their respective sensory modalities. So, in summary, six sense objects trigger six sensory modalities, and in combination with six types of vithi citta, then become six types of contact or paticcha. Factor number 7 is feeling vedana, which is dependent on contact. Vedana is mental state that are originated by contact or paticcha. Feeling arises whenever there is coexistence of three components that I have said earlier: sense object, sense organ, and consciousness, in this case, vithi citta. When sense object imposed on respective sense organ in association with corresponding vithi citta, it leads to contact, and then feeling is formed from contact. However, feeling by itself is just a plain sensation, noted as present and presence or neutrals. So there are 6 types of feelings. Feeling from eye contact, from ear contact, from nose contact, from tongue contact, from body contact, and from mind contact. Subsequent emotionals, practicals, morals, or spiritual values of feelings are determined by cetasika that suddenly arise in relation to that feelings. Then it leads to desirables and undesirable emotion. For example, happiness, sadness, surprise, worry, fear, anger, hate, and love. Factor number 8 is craving or tanha, which is dependent on feelings. Craving is powerful desire for something. Where there is delightful and pleasurable feelings, then craving arises. And it's always be insatiable, never be enough. You need more and more. Craving hardly ends because it is preserved by feelings. Craving includes all forms of greed, desire, lust, hunger, longing, affection for pleasurable sense objects, and give rise to 6 types of cravings. Ignorance and cravings, as I have told you earlier in the previous lecture, are the most powerful factor in samsara. In this case, ignorance is past course or past karma that condition the present results or vipaka. And craving is present cause that condition the futures. So they operate in different time frame. According to Buddha teachings, there are 3 categories of cravings. The first one is craving for sensual pleasures or kama tanha. It's a craving for all forms of sense objects, wealth and powers, idea, will, opinions, theories, concepts, and beliefs. It is most common craving in everyday life. Second is craving for eternal existence or bhava tanha. It is craving for certain identity or uniqueness and desire for rebirth eternally, driven by wrong view of eternal life and about permanence. The third one is craving for non-existent or vibhava tanha. It's craving to discard involvement with unpleasant things, such as bad people or bad situations. It also craving for cessation of life after death, which may include attempt at suicide. This is driven by wrong view of extinction, believing that there is no rebirth. Factor number 9 is attachment or upatan, which is depending on cravings. Upatan is intensive and durable form of cravings. Excuse me, let me drink some water. Upatan intensively motivate wholesome or unwholesome actions. And when cravings are fulfilled, then come obsessions, which is recurrent and persistent thoughts associating with greed, which is intense and selfish desire. Therefore, attachment may make many forms. For example, emotional attachment to person, to life, to material comfort, to routine, present or unpresent sensation, to belief, thought, and judgment. So these are the major forms of attachment in human beings. Buddha described 4 categories of attachment. The first one is attachment to sensual pleasures. This is attachment to attractive and desirable sense objects, including colors, sound, taste, touching object, and mental image. Examples are pleasing music, concert, something like that. Delicious food, comfortable house, jewelry, sexual affair. Second is attachment to false opinion and views. That is to say, with ignorance and lack of true knowledge, we develop faulty personal opinions or view on things. This is based on our stupidity or ignorance. For example, for belief that if we exercise, we will lose weight, even if we have pizza with beer every day. In this case, you can lose weight. The third one is attachment to rite and rituals. They are meaningless traditional practice handed down from one generation to the next. People always regard this practice as sacred, not to be changed under any circumstances. For example, body piercing festival or belief in the soul. The fourth one is attachment to idea of self, which is internal defenses to preserve self-concept by rejecting anything incompatible with self-confidence. For example, denying unlike criticism from teacher and friends. I would like to emphasize that only Arahant can fully overcome the idea of self. For laypersons like us, all we can do is try to control idea of self as much as possible. Factor number 10 is existence of bhava, which is dependent on attachment. Bhava is habitual or emotional tendency, or we can call habit. It bridges between attachment, upatan, and birth, chati. Once attachment is complete, the process of bhava is initiated and lead to formation of karmic tendency in present life, which determine future rebirths. In this case, bhava is different from sankhara, because sankhara is karmic potential from past life which act on present life. Bhava is in present life. Existence of bhava includes tendency to be reborn in apaya bhum, which involve 12 unwholesome karma. Tendency to be reborn in sense sphere, which involve 8 wholesome karma. Tendency to be reborn in form sphere existence, which involve 5 wholesome karma. And tendency to be reborn in formless sphere, which involve 4 neutrals or imperturbable karma. Process of existence divided into 2 steps. The first one is active or karmic process of existence, so-called karma bhava. This process actively involve 29 types of karma that lead to rebirth of new existence. The second is passive or resultant process of existence, so-called upapati bhava. This is aggregation of existence into nama rupa combinations. As a result of karma bhava, this passive process initiated by 32 vipaka citta and associated Paticcha. Rupa and 5 khandha, which take place at Juti Patisanti moment. In this case, existence that arise from upathan is principally or mainly karma bhava. Upapati bhava is only its byproduct. It's a passive process. Factor number 11 is birth chati, which dependent on existence. Chati is being born to new life in one plane of existence. It is execution of karmic tendency of bhava that lead to arising of nama rupa combination, including 5 khandha in a new beings. 5 khandha include first matter or form, rupa, which is physical body, including 5 sense organs and corresponding sense object. This excludes mind. Second, feeling or vedana, which is sensation in the body, including presence, unpresence, and indifferent or neutral. Third, perception or sanya. It is how to recognize, conceptualize, and understand things by associating them with other things. Fourth, karmic formation or sankhara. They are karmic potentials stored from previous life and lead to all intentional action, good and bad. The fifth one is consciousness or vinyan or vinyana. It is awareness of khandha number 1 to number 4. The last factor, factor number 12, is aging and death, chara marana, with dependent on birth. Birth leads to a variety of sufferings, including aging, growing old, bodily deteriorations, sorrow, lamentations, pain, grief, despair, and finally death, which is disintegration of 5 khandha and laying down of the corpse. These are sufferings. And if you want to terminate this suffering, you have to terminate Paticcha Sammuppada first. Let me explain about the operation of Paticcha Sammuppada. Conventionally, 12 factors of Paticcha Sammuppada operate in what we call chronological orders, taking place over 3 lifetimes. The first 2 factors, avijja and sankhara, take place in past life. There are past karma that lead to vipaka in present life. The next 8 factors take place in present life, starting with integration of vijnana into new beings, followed by nama rupa combination, then formation of salayatana, creation of phassa and vedana, which are present vipaka, leading to formation of present karma, tanha, upadana, and bhava. The last 2 factors, chati and jara marana, take place in future life. They are future vipaka that caused by karma in present life. So this is the summary of what we call classical 3 lifetime model of Paticcha Sammuppada. As I have mentioned before, karma in past life, including avijja and sankhara, are the cause of results of vipaka in present life, including vijnana, nama rupa, salayatana, phassa, and vedana. Then reaction to these results generate karma. There are new karma, including tanha, upadana, and bhava. These present karma are cause of result in future life, including chati, jara, marana. However, this classical model is explained in a way that you can easily understand. It is the separate models which consider only 3 lifetimes only. In fact, it cannot explain the actual operation in the whole samsara. Why? Let's see. The actual operation of Paticcha Sammuppada in samsara is as follows. Because there is uncountable number of lives in samsara. So at any level, sorry, I have to drink water. So at any one life in samsara, it can be considered as a past, a present, or a future life, depending on focus time point in samsara. For example, if I focus on this life, right in part 2, then this life in part 1 will be the past life of this present life. And this life number in part 3 will be future lives of this present life. However, if I focus on this life in plus 1 as the present life, then this life will be past life of this life And this will be future life of the present life. In addition, if I focus on this life, life and plus T, then life and plus 2 will be past life. And life and plus 4 will be future life. So all 12 sequential factors of Paticcha Sammuppada actually operate in every single life, which can be a past, a present, or future life by itself. So the classical model has to be adapted or modified. So this is the actual operation of Paticca Sammuppada in samsara. As I have told you earlier, that any one life can be a present, a past, or a future life. So in every life, this one, and this one, all 12 factors operate, but the connection or relationship between individual factors is difficult to elaborate or explain. By the way, 12 factors operate in every life. The last part is how to terminate Paticca Sammuppada. In the case of noble persons, attainment of Arahata Phala, achievement of noble tenfold path, not astral, this is tenfold path, and enlightenment and Nibbana will terminate Paticca Sammuppada. It leads to complete elimination of ignorance and cessation of a whole chain of Paticca Sammuppada, and then entire mass of suffering terminate. However, in the case of ordinary persons, what I would like to recommend is like this. Ordinary person should adopt mental training in daily life to get rid of or reduce ignorance, craving, and attachment, which are the major influence for sufferings. We have to continuously keep religious practice life after life, life after life, until we don't know the exact times suffering are terminated. So this is just what I recommend from my personal experience. So this should be the end of my lecture today. Thank you for your attention. Sadhu, 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 namo dhammi.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dr. Surachai, Anumodami for your Dhammadana today. We will open up the forum for question and answer now.
Okay.
So those who have questions, you can raise your hand and we will allow you to unmute yourself and ask question. Your first question comes from Naksen. Naksen, please go ahead.
Yeah. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya. Thank you, Masterji, for the discourse today. It was fantastic, and the simplistic presentation is just an amazing thing what I like in this program. My question related to attachment. What is the root of attachment? If desire is something which is making us to not liberate from sufferings and from the chakra of this lives coming again and again, then having a craving for attaining a nibbana or a desire for a nibbana is not a kind of attachment, and how it will leads to again come back into the life if I have a desire.
I hardly understand the true meaning of your question. So would you please repeat it again?
Yeah.
Naksan, allow me to simplify it for the teacher. So he has two parts of the question, sir. First is, what is the root cause for craving? What is it that leads to man making any cravings for it? Second is desiring for nibbana, is that also considered a craving? So those are the two questions.
Okay, that's very important questions. Cravings, as I have mentioned earlier, come from feelings, and you have many types of feelings. If that feeling are satisfactory or pleasurable, and you have that feeling again and again, so you start to be craving for that feelings. And when cravings for that feelings is fulfilled, so you repeatedly receive the satisfactions from that feeling again and again, then come attachment, which is powerful desire or cravings. The second question is craving for nibbana it's wrong or opposed to Buddha teaching? I think by Buddha teaching, Buddha does not mention craving or attachment to nibbana as the opposition to his teaching, because in order to be illegal or no, legal for nibbana, you have to obtain many characteristics and requirements. And all of these are wholesome or good things or practice. So in my personal opinions, craving or attachment to nibbana is not opposed to Buddha teachings. We can do that because of the process of the way to nibbana is wholesome. I don't know. My question is okay for you.
Yeah, thanks. Understood it to the extent. Just would like to seek some clarification. I mean, a desire is a desire, whether it is wholesome or unwholesome, right? It is a desire, kind of a desire, right? So if anyone desires for nibbana or desires for wholesome things, so even like how that situation or that particular thing we would call it as, is it something different, like having a craving for nibbana or having desire for nibbana is not a desire, or what we can call it?
What we can call it.
Sir, is it called chanda? Because
Mhm.
it is not a craving. When you are desiring nibbana, that becomes part of the chanda or something else. Can we call it a chanda? Surachai sir, we can come back to that maybe later.
What do you mean by that? Come back to
Um,
questions.
like maybe we can help answer it next week or something like that if you needed to think a little more.
Okay, I will study the question carefully. What can we call craving or attachment to nibbana in terms of
Like
Buddhism?
giving it a name, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Next
Thank you
week
very much.
I try to study and tell you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. So
Mhm.
your next question it came from a chat window. It came personally to me, so I am trying to reach that for you. How does Vijnana, which is part of Chitta and Chetasika, or part of Nama, generates or creates Rupa?
This is the same question as was raised in my previous.
Yes, Surajai. We have taken this question last week, and he has a follow-up. I will ask him to unmute, and maybe he can clarify his question again.
How consciousness become mind and matter, right?
Yes, yeah, we have taken that exact same question. Exactly, sir. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Vikas, you wanted to go ahead and see if you want more clarification?
Yes, sir. Rupa is the 28 elements required times and space requirement, basic requirement for the material Rupa, that there shall be time and space. So how Vijnan that is connected with Chitta and Chetasika we relate it with the time and space requirement. That is my question.
Yeah, because I think it's the same question then. If you can, you asked the question in the first class, and then last week's session towards the end, Surachai helped answer it. We have the recording available. If you could kindly please go through that, that would be very nice.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vikas. Appreciate it. Any other questions we have in the session?
Namo Buddhaya, Surachai sir. Thank you so much for helping us understand a very, very difficult topic of Paticcha Sammuppada. I have a question, or can you explain a little more about Ananjabhi Sankhara?
Apisankhara. Okay.
Ananjabhi Sankhara, I mean, you explained Punyabhi Sankhara, Apunyabhi Sankhara, and the third one is Ananjabhi Sankhara. So I just want to know a little bit more about Ananjabhi Sankhara.
Let me find the slide. Oops, sorry. I have to wait a minute. It's existent, right?
second or third, sir, after Avidya.
Yeah, after Avijja, maybe it's a second or third slide. Even before that, that is craving, topic number 8. We wanted to go back maybe to like more like 5, slide number 5 or something.
I'm trying to looking for the slide. It's very small. Sankhara is. Okay, I find. Okay. So the question is, what are Punya Pisankhara, Punya Pisankhara, and Anenja Pisankhara, right?
Yes, Surachai, yes.
Punya Pisankhara is Kusala Kamma or wholesome Kamma. It's composed of 13 Kusala Kamma, which I cannot remember the real names in Pali. By the way, if you have this Kusala Kamma, then after rebirth, when you die, you maybe have a rebirth in the sensual worlds, including human, deva, and rupa, brahma, and apunja pisankhara is 12 akusala kamma, which I cannot remember the whole names or the whole composition in Bali. If you have this akusala kamma, then after that you may rebirth in apayapumi, namely animals, peta, asura, and hells. Anenta pisankhara composed of 4 neutrals or imperturbable karmic formation, which as well I cannot remember the whole name in Pali. It is a very high kusala kamma. High in wholesome manners. If you have these 4 karma formations or karma potentials, after that, you may rebirth in arupa, vajra, from worlds, which is the highest, or in the highest planes of existence. So in total, there are 29 karma that is give rise to the potential for your rebirth.
Sadhu, 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 sir.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, sir.
If there are any more questions into the session, please raise your hand. So I can allow you to unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, Surachai sir, I don't see any more questions into the session, sir.
Okay.
Is it okay for us to take it for conclusion?
That's depend on you.
Okay, sir, right. Yeah, I'll give at least another 20-30 seconds if people are still thinking about the question. I can allow you to unmute if you just raise your hand. Then you can go ahead and ask your question. Okay, and just there were questions related to where the recording of these sessions are available. So they are available on a YouTube channel for Ambedkar Association of North America. And if you go to the YouTube channel, there we have all the recordings from this week, this recording also that is going live on YouTube, and recording from last 2 weeks as well. So you can go ahead and check out those recordings. We will also put those recording into the WhatsApp group as well, so that you can go ahead and have easy access for it. So assuming there are no more questions, I wanted to take the session towards conclusion. We will share the merits that we have earned today from listening to the Dhamma and today's Dhamma discourse with all the beings in the world, everywhere across the 31 planes. Ittavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe sattha anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So thank you very much, sir, and much merit to you for your Dhammadana today. We will see you again next week, and we will share the topic for next week on all the groups. Please be sure to join, and this session will be at the same time again for next week. Until we meet again.
Yeah, I will send a topic of my next lecture at soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. You have a very nice day.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.